Alright, folks. So, the more I realize what consciousness might be about, is about really individualization or self-actualization. You know, for myself, it's like my experience, I suppose, is that generally what I find the trend amongst people who seem to be asleep, and those are my loved ones, so, I'm just using that word generally, but I don't find there to be a strong foundation within themselves, if any foundation whatsoever. Okay? There is no person that I can select out. Yes, there's certain archetypes and characteristics, archetypes and of the person, personalities, characters, whatever it is, whether they highly emotional, not emotional, introvert, extrovert, whatever it is, there's certain characters, but in the core, I don't feel that there's somebody that's there and consistent in their being, right? It just seems like the unborn, in a way. I don't know, it's a bit of a hectic word, but that's the way I see it. It's like, again, they're running a script of culture and societal scripts or religious scripts or just their conditioning and whatever it is, and their thinking and their impression of reality, the reality bubble, their reality tunnel, how they've pieced reality down into a certain type of so-called reality, like how they've edited the real, reality and broken it down into white picket fences and, materialism and science and rationalism and determinism and they've really, got such a small picture, in a way, of life, and it's almost like a cardboard cutout. Even their ideas of God or the universe or something or other, or let's just say God, is cardboard cutout. It's not that. It's their beliefs or their impressions or their faith. A lot of the time is just told unto them, right? I mean, the impression of what God is, for example, again, is just what's been given to them. It's, I mean, it's almost like, and I've seen it. I spend time in different places of prayer, back in my day, and from time to time, where I go to, back to my roots of my religion and whatever it is, and I go to the synagogues or whatever it is, and I see people praying, and I can see it's just by habit, it's just by pattern, and I can see it because I once was also there, believing in a certain imagery type of God, this idea being more masculine or something like that, and being very easily understandable, and also being very understandable of life. Like, life's easy to understand. It's like there's no mystery here. It's very basic and simple, in a way. And sometimes when you can break down to the simplicity of things. Like, I think one of the ultimate purposes of our lives is that we are coming closer to divinity within ourselves. There is only within ourselves, in a way, right? The divinity within ourselves, all right, which is the ultimate divinity that is what everything is made up of, right? So I think that's one of the things that we are essentially, I've used the word going home, right? Going home. And so the thing is that, again, if you are uninitiated, if you're the unborn, if you haven't died and had a rebirth, in a way, right, and you haven't found your essential core nature, whatever that is, you don't know how to rest in that, you don't know how to recognize it, you don't know how to acknowledge it, you don't know the feeling, you don't know how it can breathe life in you, you don't even know that it's there, right? It's your soul, really. It's a spiritual thing, folks. It's a soul. And when you're not connected, when most people are not connected with that, it hasn't been it doesn't feature in their lives really, and even if it does, it's on a very superficial level and only in moments in time from time. But they don't live through that. They don't live through their soul. They don't live with the intention through their soul. They don't even know that it's there, right? They don't even know that it's there. And so for myself, when I'm talking to people, like I was speaking to a lady friend of mine the other day about her overusage, you know, on her cell phone, and you know, I said to her, like, you know, I was having lunch with her, I met her for lunch the other day, and I said, when I go to the loo, try not be on your cell phone, like when I come back, not for my sake, but just try and see if you don't have to be on your cell phone. And she said, but what for? Like, I'm just sitting here otherwise. I said, you're not just sitting here. I said, there's so much to take in. There's so much going on. There's so much to think about. So much to observe. It's rich in deep in experience here. You don't have to go to the cell phone. I said, what information you're going to look at? Your Facebook posts, pictures of Instagram, you know, very really superficial things. I mean, she's not working on her phone. She doesn't do work or something like that. She's not trying to catch up on emails. No, I know this woman and I know what it's about. And so I was trying to stress to her how addicted we are to the cell phone. I mean, I don't really want to go into this, folks, but as I mentioned, 2 of my cell phones were stolen, and I really had very old cell phones. The one was basic smartphone. I mean, really all it did was sort of WhatsApp messages, you know, whatever it is, but you couldn't get onto the internet. And my other phone was no internet whatsoever. All I could do was text and answer phone calls, and that was it, and which I was happy with, you know. It was very, very basic. I had it for years. And anyway, both my cell phones were stolen, so I had to upgrade to a smartphone, which I'm actually doing this recording on now, which I'm very grateful for, because it has changed my communication around completely. I mean, now it takes me about 20 seconds to write a message that will take me 2 minutes, right? Before, because I use this predictive text, and it's so simple. It's a QWERTY keyboard. I just, you know, it's brilliant, right? And then I've also, you see, on my other cell phone, I had this basic game that I could, it was very basic. I think it was called like Blockbusters or something. You know, the ball bounces around and you got a pad and you move the pad around to left and to right. Very basic. I mean, like a Tetris type of thing. And I was happy with it. Very, very basic. I mean, I completed it thousands of times. I just would, you know, recycle the game over and over. And I used to play it when I was on the toilet, really, you know, help take my mind, you know, off things. And I'm sure 90% of us are using our cell phones on the toilet. And not only that, we glued to the toilet after we finished our business, right? But to our cell phones. We'll sit for an extra 10, 15 minutes or whatever it is on our cell phones. I know, because what's happened to me now, I've downloaded this poker game, all right? It's not real money, but I'm addicted to it, and I've only had it for like a week. And for myself, I'm finding at every opportunity that I have, I want to play the darn game. You know, and I'm like thinking, oh, okay, someone's just, I'm waiting for somebody, okay, let me play just a few hands, you know? I mean, and also sometimes I want to check my messages and see who's, because now I can see all the information, the message sent, the message has been read, what time the person was online. So I'm finding myself pulled in all the bloody time. And so it's overtaking me, and this was the biggest thing that I was so worried about by getting a smartphone, and lo and behold, it's true. Okay, and so for myself, I'm only talking about a poker game, and I'm not on any social medias, alright, and already I'm finding it overwhelming, okay, and I really feel that it's stressing me out, because I'm feeling like when I'm just sitting and meditating, or I'm waiting for somebody, I could be playing the game, I could be advancing myself in this game. Right, and it's a basic poker game. It's not like these Candy Crushes or something like that where you're connected to other people, you can see how they're doing. Anyway, so I was trying to relate to with my lady friend all of this for myself, how it feels, and she's like, didn't understand. She didn't understand. I said to her, well, you know, we're addicted to our phone. She said, I'm not addicted. I said, how do you know? You haven't tried to stop. She says, well, why would I try and stop? I mean, she's an excessive, I mean, she must be on her cell phone probably 6 hours a day. She's not employed, probably even more. I mean, it's frightening. It's absolutely frightening. It really is. And so, like, she doesn't realize that there's a problem, right? Because this is the holy grail, you know. To be able to have as much time as you want to be on your cell phone is the best thing ever, apparently. Anyway, so, again, I mean, I want to do another talk on our expectations on people, folks, because again, when you're more awake and aware and conscious, you might have similar expectations on other people in your life, and it's going to pain you. You're going to struggle. You're going to suffer because of it. You're going to have your heart broken because of it, which is fine. But constantly, it can really get the better of you, drain you, annoy you, despair you, and it will. No matter how much you try not let it do that, it will, because you realize in essence that you've lost a connection with this person, that you're not on the same wavelength, and that you two ships in the night passing each other by with no idea, and basically they're in your life, but the relationship, the connection died a long time ago. Mostly now it's just the pattern that's left over, the residue of a pattern and habit and play of personality and script that's still there, but otherwise it's dead and buried a long time ago, I'm sorry to say. I think most people have been buried and dead a long time ago. When I look at it, like I said, there's no spark in people's eyes anymore. Anyway, besides the point. So there's much to be said on this, but I mean, okay, maybe that's not the best example about the cell phone, but I'm saying there's so many examples. But the thing is that, for me, what I find is that I just try, I don't know, I'm in such a conundrum, because sometimes I just don't even want to bother with these people by talking about anything that might be beneficial in their lives, because it's like, it doesn't matter, it's water for duck's back. Like, they're not going to take from it, they're not going to grow from it. I know it might be planting seeds for some time in the future, but I really feel that some people are so badly written off, like in this lifetime, seriously, it sounds terrible, that I've got to be careful of throwing pearls in front of swine, and I'm not trying to call them pigs. What I'm just trying to say is that, like, by teaching insight and awareness and consciousness and sensitivity to others that, believe me, are so far gone, you're throwing pearls in front of swine, right? It's not going to happen. And you got to write, and again, you write them off, but you don't really. I mean, there's so many people I want to write off, but I can't, because I can't believe it to be so. I'm always have that hope that maybe one day something will transform in them, a seed of inspiration or novelty or something of self or soul will sprout in them, and they'll come around one day. But I've realized, especially in the times that we live in, it's highly, highly unlikely. Very, very unlikely. And so the thing is that, I mean, we could do another talk on this, but like, why? Why is it that people don't change? We could talk about the fear of change, obviously. But the biggest thing is that, like, there's nobody home for change to really happen, or long-term change. In other words, the soul hasn't been ignited in a way, or is dormant in the person. It's hard to give an example about this. It's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of technology, because sometimes we can best explain it that way. Like something that's not saved on your computer, if it crashes, you've lost it, right? But if it's saved into the hard drive. It's saved into that which remains when the lights go out. And the hard drive is almost like the soul. I'm just saying this analogy. So that, but most people, it's like most of their days is nothing is really saved to the hard drive. There's no real deep experience. They're having experience, but there's nothing. The teachings, the lessons, whatever it is, it's all so temporary. And they've made it temporary, but I don't think we're temporary. I think parts of our being are temporary, but parts of us are infinite, and parts of us are timeless and boundless, right? And that's it. And for most people, they committed completely to the boundless and the limitlessness of things, and that which is just so temporary. That's it. They're not turning the experience of what is of life from the temporary into the infinite. And I think that's what the soul spirit is about. It's about using this incarnation into the flesh, into character, into the archetypes, into the astrological charts, into the potential, into the opportunity, whatever it is, into your circumstances, right? A temporary issue, and taking something from it that will be infinite, that will improve and then grow the soul, that when the flesh dies and the personality dies and the ego dies, and turns into dust, that the soul takes that information, takes that experience, takes that growth, and continues into who knows where, the big universal plan of the soul's growth returning home, right? And so that's it. That's why when you waste time in this life and you're not self-actualized, and you're just seeing it as the be-all and end-all. I'm saying one's existence, not a means to an end. Life is a means to an end, folks. There's no question about it. But most people don't treat it that way. Most people treat it as if it's the only party in town. So enjoy while the going is good. I mean, make the most of it superficially. Get the biggest status that you possibly can. Make as much money as you can, right? As comfortable as you can. Own as many properties and cars and whatever it is that you can. Have power in this world as much as you can, right? Because this is where it begins and this is where it ends. And there's nothing more to it than this. But on a soulful level, it's not like that. On a soulful level, you realize it's a means to an end. It's all going to pass away. Like the body, the body's going to age. So there's no need in getting Botox. There's no need in, getting your facial skin tied back in a knot under your scalp or something like that, or under your hairline. There's no point in it. Take care of the body as much as you can, so it can service you, give you the best service and opportunity, so you can have growth, soul growth in this life. But don't do it because you can look pretty to others and sexy to others and attractive to others in a way, right? That's not humble. Humility is also what it's about. Grandiosity, when you're being grandiose, that's when you know that you're stuck in the material, when you're stuck in the temporary, right? When you're humble, that's the finite, right? The infinite, that's the infinite. And these are different practices where, you're gauging in the temporary as the be-all and end-all, or you're gaining in the infinite as a means to an end. This life is a means to an end, folks. You come here for a short while, you do the best that you can, whatever that means for another discussion, right? And then you part and you go somewhere else, right? But all that you have, right, physically, even sometimes relationship-wise, it all just turns to ash, right? And so what is salvaged? What is salvaged? And that's why for most people's lives, very little is actually salvaged. Very little is actually stored on the hard drive that is taken away and replaced into another, let's say, laptop or computer or something like that. Something like that, folks. I don't know. Anyways, there's much to be said on that, but we'll end off on that for now. Chat soon. Take care.